Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good night, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Troublemaker. This is the Wargame Cup, and we're going to watch a match between the NATO player, Agroq, and his pact opponent, Olashruber. Olashruber. That's probably his name. People should stop naming their characters after people. They make me feel ridiculous when I can't pronounce all these foreign names. And by foreign, I mean you. Germany and France. And apparently Japan and West Africa and the Middle East. You know, pretty much most of the countries in the world that aren't the United States and Canada. Even English names I have problems with sometimes. Like, they have some ridiculous names. So it looks like Agroq has a lot of infantry. He only has one command on the map, and it could be an infantry rush. He does have the command helicopter, though, which is an interesting choice. It allows him to be very mobile. Could be an infantry all-in, though. From Olashruber, we're seeing 3 commands. Scratch that. We have 3 commands. And my voice is getting groggy, so I'll pause for a second and clear my throat. Test 1, test 1. Alright, we're good to go. And yeah, Olashruber has a fairly nice balance of units. He does have a little bit more over here. And he might be going for some kind of territory grab. I'm not entirely sure what he plans to do just yet. It's very clear this group of units is designated for the Charlie location. That's pretty obvious. This little group of units is designated for probably the hotel location. And this little group of units will stay here at Foxtrot. But what these are for, I don't know. And it's very, very hard in this game to attack with 2 commands. It gets even harder to attack when you have 3 commands on the map. That's 230 points less units. That's a lot of units. That's like 23 infantries. Very cheap infantries, but they're infantries. And a little more balance to the units that Agroq has. He has to punish Olashruber immediately for having 3 commands, and that's very, very, very key. When you have an opponent who's gone for the extra command, which means he's getting extra income, extra economy, you have to be aggressive. And the second you see that, you have to go. Now, on that note, if you are Olashruber, you should not plant down all 3 commands at the same time. That is just a terrible idea, because the second you do that, your opponent will rush you. Now keep in mind, it looks like we're going to see a little bit of a rush here from Agroq anyway. He has lots of infantry rushing forward. He's going to get some support from these vs.L MK20s with their pitifully tiny gas tanks, massively fuel efficient war machines. And he has some of these hybrid starship vehicles. These tanks, tiny, unique. They have the ability to actually attack air and land. And Tunguska from the distance is going to hit some of these heavy hogs, and that's fairly damaging. All the while, can he get these infantry down? He's got to get them into the buildings. Heavy Hog's got to retreat as well, because this is getting quite expensive for him. And immediately the attacking squad here for Olashruber going to get caught off guard by a very large group of chasseurs, which are all getting deployed immediately. All the while Zippo is also coming in. Could be used to clear out this location. And the chasseurs need to rush forward. Here they go. They're rushing forward while shooting. Got to claim some of these locations. This one here, it's in ruins right now. What is it? It is a... well, these are grain silos, so clearly it's a farm. Going for the farm. Picks off a vehicle. That's a pretty big snag. And he might be able to get a second vehicle. Should be good. He's going to go right into the woods for some cover. The chasseurs are routed, however. And all 3 squads are gonzo. The VABs were not moved into support. And actually Agroq's going to load up a lot of these vehicles and continue moving forward with them. Very, very good. And he's got to reposition. Yes, he's going to actually rush in his chasseurs, rush in his VABs, and try and pick off anything he can here. Currently, Olashruber has a pretty sizable lead, and so far these pushes have been mostly ineffective. Infantry squad rushing into a Tunguska. If you can kill a Tunguska, that'd be great. Tunguskas, of course, are expensive and are hard to deal with for any unit just because of how good they are. And Will he be able to do the damage? 50 hit point, or 5 hit points I should say, are left on that unit. And the chasseurs are getting mostly cleaned up here. Just so much damage being done. The vehicles go down. There are still 40 motostrelki here. And really, Olaf has to push all those forward and just work with strength in numbers. He's able to push back pretty much all of this using just a single squad. And a little bit of a blunder here from Agroq, who is now using these starships in an offensive way. Which, you know, was kind of weird to use them defensively in the first place, honestly. And it doesn't look like he really knows where he's going with this. There are some Zalos picking off tanks from the back, and there's some T-55s here. The starships, of course, not really having the range they need to deal with this. The Zalos are doing insanely high amounts of damage. These poor little tanks, I do mean poor and little, because I just don't like these tanks, are going to get cleaned up, and they're not going to do much damage back. The T-55s are still going to be around. Huge fuel leak here as well, not going to matter too much, because it's going to die before it matters. And these infantry also getting smashed. Olaf being very, very impressive here, very effective with his forces. And wow. Though one Motostrelki squad did get cleaned up, the chasseurs have to finish up the second one still. And I mean, it appears to me that Olashruber will take this game. Am I calling it a little bit early? Yes, I am. It is absolutely possible that Agroq will come back. However, that was a fairly massive mismanagement of forces, and the mismanagement continues. And generally speaking, when you're trying to do damage, you should isolate the enemy forces and collapse your forces. So your forces should be fighting together, his forces should be isolated. And all these forces are actually quite isolated by him. He just went with an equal number of forces to every location and just got completely stomped. Especially these big giant open battles, not very good with infantry. Not really all that well planned out, but a third command armor is on the way here for Agroq. His basic avenue into getting back into the game will be to cancel out the Charlie base. Or alternatively, I suppose he could take this Alpha location. Won't get him back though, it'll just get him more points than he currently has. And he will in fact be going to cancel that Charlie base out. So as we hit the mid-game, it looks like we're going to see Motostrelki's getting basically killed here. And a couple of gazelles coming around the back for Agroq. And looks like Olashruber will continue pumping out lots of infantry. He's ahead, and when you're ahead, it's good to plant down some defensive units. No shame in that. All the while, it looks like Agroq's remaining armies will get cleaned up, getting used very effectively. A mortar carrier coming out for Agroq. And what will he be using this for? Possibly doing damage. So we have the gunship helicopters. Does he see his 4 Danas on the map right now? And Agroq does see them. They're getting pulled back though. And what is he doing? He rushed all of his helicopters into the middle of the map. Not the right choice at all. There is a Tunguska here, of course. So those helicopters were not going to get used for anything good. And actually a 4th command armor coming out for Agroq. So he's playing very, very greedy, very risky right now. The Danas are able to push the command armor away. And truth be told, I kind of like this. The ability of these border carriers, these artillery, to kind of push around these command armors, because it gives you small bits of points. And of course, now they're stunned and they're forced to move again, and there's another group of points. So very good. I would be very scared to keep my command armor right here. It's a big open field. And just to give you like an idea of how scary that is, if there was a anti-tank Milan squad in this building here, it has total vision of that command armor. All he would need to do is get a recon planted right here, and he would see that, and he'd be able to hit that. Looks like he's going for a crazy strategy, which he just kills command armors with artillery, and he does. And so now Agroq is kind of back in the hole right now. After purchasing an extra 2 command armors, he's putting himself behind massively on army count. There's a smirch here for Olaf as well. So going for heavy amounts of artillery, going to whittle down his opponent. Fusiliers rush right into the middle of a lot of infantry. Ooh, more poor planning here from Agroq. It's getting pretty painful to watch. And Agroq actually taps out. That's from wrestling. You did a 3 count, but that was a 2 count. Could this be called an upset? Possibly. Agroq, of course, from the CPC clan, which is pretty good, and lots of practice partners to play with. And he's 200 points ahead of Olashruber as far as ELO goes. So a little bit of an upset. Not a great upset, but a little one. Olashruber, however, will be going on to round 6, and I will still have problems pronouncing his name. My name is Thetroublmaker, and thank you guys for watching.